I have been every voice.
You are the chosen one!
Anakin! Anakin!
This is where the fun begins.
Inside your head.
Hello my dear friends and welcome back to another Star Wars news update. So in today's video we have some more news for Ahsoka. We're also going to be talking about Fennec Shand, The Mandalorian Season 3 and a lot more. As always my dear friends, before I dive into it, please may I ask you to hit that big red subscribe button if you've not done so already, and also be sure to give that bell a good old tickle to be alerted each and every time that I post new content. You can expect daily Star Wars updates from me. As I've said in the past my dear Mandalorians, I will be doing a 60,000 subscriber special, so do stay tuned for that. But without much further ado and without any more jibber jabber, let's just dive straight into it. So as you're probably aware, Corey Van Dyke has been leaking a lot of stuff lately. His newest thing is that Ahsoka will shoot this year, meaning a 2022 release date is very likely. So he then goes on to say that he's heard whispers of Mando Season 3 and Kenobi being in early 2022. And this could mean that Ahsoka is going to release next November or December. As I often warn on my channel, take everything with a pinch of salt, but he has been quite reliable in the past. I mean, you don't need me to tell you we have so much Star Wars content to look forward to. So this year we have The Bad Batch on May the 4th, we've got the Book of Boba Fett in December, Visions probably between September and October, and of course next year we have Mando Season 3, Kenobi and Ahsoka, with Rangers of the New Republic likely to drop in 2023. So with that in mind, let's take a look at this. New details seemingly confirm Mandalorian time jump. This goes back to what I've already spoken about yesterday, but I do want to bring this article to light. To date, the Mandalorian saga has taken up a very short span of time within the Star Wars timeline. The Mandalorian Season 1 was set approximately 5 years after Return of the Jedi, and Season 2 of the hit series picks up almost immediately. A new report indicates that the logline for the Mandalorian spin-off series Ahsoka has been leaked, and if it turns out to be the official synopsis, it seemingly confirms the timeline jump that Pedro Pascal teased some months ago. So as I stated yesterday, the logline is as follows: Ahsoka Tano, or Rosario Dawson, is on the hunt for the evil Grand Admiral Thrawn, in the hope that it will help her locate the missing Ezra Bridger, the young Jedi that disappeared with Thrawn many years ago. So in order for this synopsis, which indicates Ahsoka will begin her search for Thrawn and Ezra many years after they disappeared, a time jump has to be present. Now you're probably asking yourself, well, how does this relate to The Mandalorian in any way? It actually does pretty significantly. What seems to be certain is that we know The Mandalorian Season 3, Ahsoka and Rangers will all be interconnected and air concurrently. So whether a time jump means that all three series will occur years after The Mandalorian Season 2, or Ahsoka alone explores time travel through the world between worlds, it seems that we are in for some surprises as the Mandalorian saga continues next year. This also is in line with what Jon Favreau said, in that The Mandalorian Season 3 will not pick up straight after The Mandalorian Season 2, and as Pedro Pascal stated, there will be a time jump. Next year is truly going to be a phenomenal one for Star Wars, specifically to do with the Mandalorian universe. Now speaking of such universe, let's talk about Fennec Shand, or rather the actress who plays her, Ming-Na Wen. Star Wars' Ming-Na Wen amazingly explains how she and Kelly Marie Tran traded places. Years before joining the recent animated hit Raya and the Last Dragon, Kelly Marie Tran made her big break in the Star Wars franchise as The Last Jedi's Rose Tico. Similarly, it was years after Ming-Na Wen portrayed Chinese Princess Mulan that she landed a role in the Star Wars universe in The Mandalorian Season 2 and the upcoming Book of Boba Fett, as well as The Bad Batch. So Wen explains exactly how their careers have essentially mirrored each other, and in her own words she says, "I feel like I'm looking in a mirror, like at a younger me, because I followed Kelly's footsteps and became part of the Star Wars family, and now she's followed my footsteps in being a Disney princess. I just feel like we have this whole mirror thing going on, and I love it, and I'm so proud of you." The shared experience of going from one major Disney franchise to another has clearly bonded the actresses in a pretty specific way, and Ming-Na Wen's words were full of love for Kelly Marie Tran. So personally, I have major respect for both of these actresses, but Kelly Marie Tran did have it so much worse than Ming-Na Wen in terms of the reception that she received as Rose Tico in The Last Jedi. I think the aesthetic of Fennec Shand makes her more badass, and I think in that sense fans were really drawn to her character more than they were Rose Tico. I also think that it's really unfair that a lot of fans have blamed Kelly Marie Tran herself. If you didn't like the character of Rose Tico, and that's not what I'm saying, then blame Rian Johnson for the writing. Don't blame the actress, because I think she did a phenomenal role in the sequel trilogy, and I think she was done dirty by J.J. Abrams in The Rise of Skywalker. On a personal level, I must say I prefer Fennec Shand to Rose Tico as a character, but I mean there's a lot of bias there. Her connection to Boba Fett, the fact that she's a bounty hunter, the fact that she's going to appear in the Bad Batch, and just the impact she had even in season 1 of The Mandalorian really puts her up there as one of my favourite bounty hunters in Star Wars. And let's be real here, if you saw the season 2 finale, she made an absolutely amazing strong female character, alongside of course Cara Dune, the Night Owls, Bo-Katan. I truly believe as a Star Wars fan that Fennec Shand will have a long-lasting impression on this franchise. Seeing the creativity of Favreau and Filoni gives me so much hope, and not just for Fennec Shand but also all of the characters that they've created for The Mandalorian. The show itself is the best thing that ever happened to Star Wars since the prequels, and I liked the prequels. I know not everyone's on board with that opinion. But what I'm saying is that Favreau and Filoni, and also Peyton Reed, Robert Rodriguez, all of these guys who've worked on The Mandalorian have done and keep doing an amazing job. And I honestly can't wait to see how they use that creativity in outlets like the Mandalorian spin-offs, Ahsoka, Rangers, the Book of Boba Fett. It's going to be incredible. So I've jibber-jabbered on quite a bit, so let's move on to our next article. Inverse have written a really insightful one, and again it refers to the new book, Skywalker Family at War. So they've titled this one, The Worst Part of the Rise of Skywalker Finally Makes Sense. They're of course referring to this Force dyad. I mean, essentially you could also make the argument for The Last Jedi because that's the film that was first introduced in, but a lot of people had issues with it, so let's take a look at what they say. Balancing the Force was never a one Jedi job, and if you imagine a slightly more coherent, less rushed version of The Rise of Skywalker, the idea that Rey and Ben's bond was the essential thing to even out the Force scales, then suddenly the silliest thing about Episode 9 becomes the best thing. A new book called Skywalker, A Family at War, written by Kristen Baver, is a fictional history book focusing on one aspect of Star Wars from an in-universe perspective. It seems like the first non-fiction Star Wars book that is canon, but also a book of prose as opposed to, say, a coffee table book like the Star Wars Rise of Skywalker visual dictionary. A few excerpts from the book have been published recently, including one that focuses on Ben Solo and Rey's respective histories. There are all sorts of interesting details here about how Han Solo became the worst dad ever, but relative to Rey and Ben, the details glossed over the quickest are arguably the things that make Ben and Rey's relationship so interesting. Here's what is said about their Force dyad in the book. The two are indelibly linked by the Force in the form of a dyad. The precise cause and nature of such a thing is shrouded in mystery. Both halves of the Force-centered bond had prodigious strength in the Force, dynastic family lineage, and together a raw power unseen for generations that had the ability to bring forth life itself. I still think this is a bit stupid to be honest, but hey, what do I know? The quote-unquote unseen for generations line is straight from Granddaddy Palps in The Rise of Skywalker. I mean, is it just me or do they really not explain anything here? I'm sorry to be salty, but The Rise of Skywalker was my least favourite sequel. But anyway guys, I think we'll leave it there for today. What did you think of today's video? If you enjoyed it, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and also if you're feeling generous, please consider heading over to Patreon, where for just $2 or $10 a month you can get exclusive access to content that's not found here on YouTube. I'm Star Wars Meg, wishing you all a phenomenal rest of the day, no matter where you dwell in the galaxy. Have a good one.